babies! Welcome to Soundroutes Souls. This is Episode 2 and I am Masta Quba.
This podcast is part of the Creative Europe project Soundroutes, which aims to use the power of hip-hop to address issues of social inequalities.
Today, we are going to talk about something that isn't always seen in hip-hop. Detention. What happens inside and outside prison walls, and how society judges and sets people free. We'll discuss physical and mental detention, stigmas, discrimination, and how racialized youth and those from marginalized neighborhoods face these challenges. We'll hear stories and reflections from people who have gone through difficult times, and how music and urban culture born in the African American and Latino neighborhoods of New York as a form of resistance against racism and inequality have been tools to keep moving forward. Hip-hop was born in the 1970s in the Bronx, New York, as a response to poverty, social exclusion, and police violence affecting mainly African American and Latino communities. From the beginning, it has been a space of anti-racist resistance and a platform for denouncing injustice. Many young people who engage with hip-hop face forms of detention: physical, prison, police detention, and mental. Stigmas, discrimination, structural racism. Hip-hop culture offers tools for liberation. Rap and writing allow people to express experiences silenced by society. Breakdance and movement release physical and emotional tension. Graffiti and art are ways to claim identity and make injustice visible. Detention isn't always literal prison. Often, we are trapped by our fears, by how society judges us and how we judge ourselves. For racialized youth, this pressure is even stronger. Hip-hop gives us space to question, to resist, and be free. Let's ask some questions, starting with Kento. Prison workshop facilitator, activist, rapper, and hip-hop educator. Kento, from your experience working with young people in prisons, how do you see hip-hop helping them cope with physical and emotional detention and face the stigmas or inequalities that especially affect racialized youth?
When I walk into a juvenile prison to run a writing or rap workshop, I never bring hip-hop as if it were a medicine or a therapy. I bring it as a language that many of these young people already speak, even if sometimes only in fragments, through a beat they've heard on their phone, a rhyme they've repeated from an artist they love, or even just the posture and the rhythm of the culture. Hip-hop is their common ground, and when you are behind bars, especially at a very young age, common ground is what you're missing the most, because the prison system is designed to strip you of your individuality, your background, your identity. So what hip-hop does in that space is exactly the opposite. It tells you that your voice matters, that your story is unique, that even your scars can be transformed into verses. It gives the kids a microphone where society has given them silence. This is why rap becomes so powerful in detention, because it is not about pretending that pain doesn't exist, but about naming it, shaping it, and sometimes even shouting it loud, the loudest that you can. When you can rhyme what you fear, you suddenly feel you can face it. When you can put rhythm into your loneliness, you are no longer alone. Now, about the stigma and inequalities. The reality is that the majority of incarcerated minors come from marginalized backgrounds. In Italy, where I work, many are sons and daughters of immigrants, Roma kids, or young people from extremely poor neighborhoods in the South, but not just in the South.
Sono in carcere senza ventilatore, non mi dite come sta perché sto male, non mi piace dove sto perché qua sto al posto dell'animale, non mi sento molto bene ma faccio finta di niente, quando vado via dico a me manca la famiglia, mi manca la libertà, per una cazzata ho perso la mia famiglia, per una cazzata ho perso la mia libertà, per una cazzata ho perso la mia vita, per una cazzata sono chiuso in galera, per una cazzata sono chiuso in galera, chiuso.
In other countries, we know the dynamics are similar, especially for racialized communities. The system criminalizes poverty, difference, and migration long before it actually criminalizes a specific act, a felony. And so these young people do not only face physical detention, they also carry the emotional weight of being seen as other, as dangerous, as hopeless. Here again, hip-hop is a way of turning that stigma upside down. Hip-hop was born as the voice of those who were told they had no place in society. It was born from Black and Latino kids in the Bronx who were excluded, stigmatized, racialized. So when a boy in prison writes his first 16 bars, he's not just imitating an American rapper, he's reconnecting to a lineage, to a tradition that tells him your marginalization can become your power. Your accent, your slang, your scars are not things to be hidden, but things to be written, things to be performed. That is a radical act of reclaiming identity. And there is one other important layer. Hip-hop builds community. Even in a hostile environment like prison, a cipher can create a circle of mutual respect. When one kid raps, the other listen. They can clap, they can take the mic. Suddenly, instead of competing for survival in a violent environment, they are competing for who has the best metaphor, who has the tightest right scheme. And this is not just a game, it's a rehearsal of democracy. It's a rehearsal of equality. Because in that circle, your background doesn't matter, your skin color doesn't matter, your rap is what speaks. Of course, I'm not trying to romanticize this. Hip-hop alone cannot solve the structural violence of the prison system. But it can give the kids a tool, a weapon, and sometimes even a shield. It can help them survive both the physical and emotional prison. And most of all, it can help them imagine a different future. Because every time I ask, what do you dream for your life? Most kids, even those with tattoos on their face and deep scars on their arm, they don't say they want to be gangsters, they don't say they want revenge. They say they want a family, a house, a job, normal life. Hip-hop allows them to voice those desires without shame. So in conclusion, for me, hip-hop in prison is not just about music. It's about justice, dignity, and memory. It's about giving back to these young people the possibility to be narrators of their own stories instead of being narrated by judges, newspapers, or politicians. And that is a gift that no sentence can ever erase.
Questo è dedicato a chi a volte pensa di smettere. Combatti ciò che siamo per ciò che potremmo essere. C'era chi diceva che il cielo è l'unico limite. L'oro è nel sottosuolo, non in cima alle classifiche. E spero che un domani, riascoltando i nostri dischi, non diremo che avevamo i mezzi e non li abbiamo visti. Non saremo più pedine, non più soli né divisi, con idee potenti e obiettivi precisi. Oggi non è più il momento di essere indecisi. Idee potenti, obiettivi precisi, finché il capitale a generare le sue crisi. idee potenti, obiettivi precisi. Oggi non è più il momento di essere indecisi. Idee potenti, obiettivi precisi. Finché il capitale a generare le sue crisi. Idee potenti, obiettivi precisi.
Now, let's go with our second guest, Fatih. Rapper, educator, and activist.
Al wat ik zeg is ik dus, al wat ik zie is ik dus, al wat ik doe is ik dus. Elke straat, elke steen, elke blok, elke buurt, elke noek, elke steenstad. Zone 0, 9 represent ik dus. Al wat ik zeg is ik dus, al wat ik zie is ik dus, al wat ik doe is ik dus. Elke straat, elke steen, elke blok, elke buurt, elke noek, elke steenstad. Zone 0, 9 represent ik dus.
Fatih, in your work with adolescents in different types of centers, which hip-hop tools have you seen work best to support their development, release tension, and offer opportunities for expression and resistance against discrimination?
We cannot function and evolve completely without being supported and nourished. The people around us determine us, and that can be in a good way, but also in a bad way. Ever since I was a kid, growing up in a negative environment, I saw so many people around me who fell into the claws of the oppressive capitalist white system very soon, because they didn't have people around them to guide them, inspire them, protect them, and show them a way out. I decided I wanted to be that person when I would grow older. So that's why, besides being a rapper myself, I'm a social artistic worker who tries to help and support young people, giving them motivation, let them reflect about their world and themselves through writing, etc. These are mostly young people growing up in difficult circumstances and neighborhoods or living in prison. Now, how do I do this? I don't have any specific tools when I work with youngsters. I try to be an integer, authentic person first of all, using the motto in work that I also use in life. Don't do to another person what you don't want that they do to you. Simple. Second of all, I try to be a friend with them, someone who shows them love, care, and support, and gives them the feeling that they are somebody, that they have talent, that they can reach something in life, that their voice matters, because it does, because they have talent, because they can reach something in life. Third of all, I try to be a big brother to all of them, a real big brother who has more life experience in music as well as in general, and who wants to share this with his little brothers and sisters. And in the fourth place, you can say, yes, you can say I am a coach and a professional, but I almost never have to use this role. It's only when there are problems like violence, dominance, or other issues during the workshops, of which I am the responsible. At that moment, I really have to jump to the forefront as the coach who takes the lead, who sets the boundaries. But it almost never happens. So I try to be an inspirator, a friend, and a big brother, not a coach or a teacher. I don't care. I think this is my main tool, being me, using my forces, empathy, listening to people, treating them as you want to be treated, showing respect, not putting myself above other people, treating everybody equally, by creating opportunities and conditions for people to share their story and develop themselves in a safer space. Of course it helps that I'm not a bad rapper. I have some natural authority when I teach people how to rap, because they see I am not an amateur. This helps to be taken seriously, of course. You don't have to teach kids how to fish if you're a butcher, you know? But what's also important is that we function as a group in which we are all equals. This is not only a condition to be able to fight oppression on the long term, it is also a premise of hip-hop. This collectivity is the basic idea on which hip-hop was found more than 50 years ago. This was the power of hip-hop, and I also try to honor this idea by putting it into practice into my workshops. Other tools I use are knowledge. I don't just talk about rap and bars and hip-hop. You cannot talk about hip-hop if you don't talk about civil rights. You cannot talk about hip-hop if you don't talk about social justice. So I share a lot of stories. I show videos, I bring books, I read some parts out of them. We try to find a collective conscience shared between ourselves. And then also, besides knowledge, I think making room for emotions is also essential. Most white institutions and organizations try to ban emotions out of their workings, out of their mechanism. And a lot of so-called professionals adapt this so-called rational system to their ways of teaching. And for me, this is continuation of oppression, because emotion is part of everything you do. It is part of every fight you fight, every move you make, and every song you write. If you exclude emotions, you suppress people. So I think a main force in the way I work is not showing myself as the strong, rational, male professional. I just try to be me, but just by being present in the room with all my body and soul, with all my emotions, not just as a coach. So I think in the end, my main tools in my work are the tools that make sure that I am not a coach as it is understood in the classic Western way. It's bigger than coaching. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than hip-hop.
This from Gaza. This from Gaza. We zijn 2012 en nog 2 keer zo laf. Liever vrijheid voor een tekening dan die voor Gaza. Ik blijf verlacht aan het feit of dat kanker lijkt. Want krijg ik kanker in mijn ogen overal dat kijk. We zitten voor de buis, de poeven van de VRT. Terwijl dat IDF voor onze neuzen genocide pleegt. Israël, Katil, Wallah Laradim. Al uw leiders zullen boeten en ik zal me baden in hun bloed. 4 miljoen mensen opgesloten in een ghetto of een kamp. Zeker weten dat je dat nog kent of niet. What the fuck is los? 6 miljoen Joden dood en dan doe de krak. Hetzelfde, zij de dom of zij de doof. Een paar raketten van Hamas als excuus voor de moord op een volk dat ik alles af heb gepakt. Dikke chance dat...
And now let's go with Ofe. Rapper and educator in youth centers.
Lo primero es la familia y lo segundo es lo primero. Dive divoso, Ofi Fuji te mandan al foso. Gozo, tu boca mozo, somos colosos. El agua es cristalina cuando sale de mi pozo. Persigo el maltrato y el acoso. Ojos llorosos por bullying con el niño de ese mozo. No creo nada del sistema, está hecho por liosos. Solo creo en lo que veo, el niño ruso y el oso.
Ofe, what experiences or hip-hop tools have helped you to overcome moments of detention or confinement, literal or emotional, and how have they allowed you to challenge the inequalities your community faces?
Hey, here's Oscar Martin Tejedor, aka Ofe from south of Spain, Sevilla. Rap has marked my life. It drives me, it helps me to fight sad moments. Its music helps me to keep my head up, and it makes me romantic when I want to wear it.
Me hace ser romántico cuando tengo que serlo.
And there was a moment in my life that was so important, 2002, that I suffered and I had a very close friendship with ecstasy, pills and MDMA. And I changed completely from being a healthy b-boy to star in the world of the night, of the party, of the breakbeat new school, of the shady deals. And I totally changed as a person. And I abandoned everything I wanted, my family, hip-hop. It has been a song from Tote King and Shota in 2002 that was nada pa mí, nothing for me, that reflected that my world wasn't for them, and I was like them. And so I was like, it was mind-blowing. It was a moment of total mental tension. And I changed it. I turned to the good road, to the right path, with my familiar piles and with my hip-hop. So that's when I underwent a pretty big change. After that, I had a lot of ups and downs with drugs and crime in my life. But at that point, I was young and it made me change. I changed my future and became a social educator. I left crime behind, returned to rap, and then I wanted to pass on what hip-hop had given me at the time to my kids. I work in a juvenile detention center, the Centro de Internamiento de Menores Infractores. And when I work with these kids who have rock-bottom self-esteem, whose childhoods have been destroyed, who have committed serious crime, homicide, sexual abuse, robbery, And I hook them with rap workshops and they start rapping. They don't believe that they are capable. They don't believe they have the strength to get up on stage. Because my goal is for them to get up on stage there in prison, in front of the group's models and rap, and say positive, educational things about change and resilience to their peers. They think they can do it, but in the end they do, with the motivation I give them, with the support, with the affection and with the help. And when they do, every single one of those individuals, boys, girls, young men and women, have always told me the same thing when they finished the concert. It was the happiest moment of my life, and I hold on that. And that's what hip-hop keeps. The mechanic of writing certain things every day helps you believe it, believe in change, and it helps you to change your life.
Deja lo malo y vive lo bueno. De pequeño en el barrio buscamos fuego y veneno. Del abusón abusó el abusado. Cuando te ves solo en prisión nadie está a tu lado. Yo, Ofe, el profe, te lo dice. La vida que tú llevas deja cicatrices. Escucha al papa, la parienta, tu hermano. No dejes que se queme aquel que te tendió su mano. Vuela como vuela las 3000, un niño vende droga y dejó su escuela. El hambre, el vicio, oficio sin sacrificio. Al final siempre te llegará tu juicio. Cristian, escucha al Cano. Las juntillas con el Diego se tira a ti de las manos. Tu hermano de verdad es de sangre. No dejes que la calle te mienta con falsos códigos y alardes. Una mala decisión, el casquillo de la bala atascando tu cañón.
There is a song written in Airola prison by inmates, rapper educator Lucariello and singer Raiz. The name is Take Me Out There, Portamela Fore. For over 10 years, the Italian association Crisi come Opportunità and Rappers Educators has been organizing rap workshops in various Italian juvenile prisons. Airola sounds like this. Help me sleep. Wake me up tomorrow. Give me a gift. Take this heart. Carry it far away. Help me sleep if you really love me. Break these chains. Take this heart. Carry it out there.
Si vede l'apparenza, verità nessuna sa. Senta sofferenze che è cresciuto senza pace. Ti coce l'indifferenza e chi ti ha abbandonato. Io sai che poi ci stai tu. Camera di fiducia e che non sente più. Sta vita.
Ed è qua, cose che oggi come oggi vorrebbe toccare. Non ci ho mai pensato che ha libertà. Forse perché ce l'avevo.
At the end of the song, a voice. One thing I've understood is that when you are in trouble, you find a friend. And you forget all the people who didn't help you. All of those people who abandoned you. Those like me, who dreamed of a father's advice. I think I have to thank suffering if I know how to love today. Anyone can make mistakes, but only those who made them without thinking can one day go back and change.
Babies, the second episode is finished. Thank you for your sharing and see you in episode number 3. We will speak about hip-hop escape, music and movement with very special guests. See ya!
Thanks to the Creative Europe program that co-founded the Soundroutes project and to all project partners. A Sud staff for giving us the opportunity to have this podcast space, and Kento that planted the seed that grew into this podcast. Thanks to our guests, Kento, Fati, Ofe. For the music, thanks to Polacco, Crisi come opportunità, Casal del Marmo Juvenile Prison Hip Hop Community, Kento, Fati, Ofe, Lucariello, Raiz, Airola Juvenile Prison Hip Hop Community, Lingotti for the mix and mastering support. Last but not least, thanks hip hop for its existence. A Soundroutes joint.